I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 startups and 2 unicorns. Was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Yva.ai, an AI tech company that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. I'm the CEO, president, and co-founder of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in Silicon Valley. So, with that, I have an incredible guest today. Sebie Salim is an entrepreneur, an investor. I mean, he went to the University of Nairobi, the Wharton School, MIT Sloan School, MIT Sloan School of Management for his MBA. He has an incredible company, Tennocata, that we're going to talk about. But first of all, you've been involved in entrepreneurship for some time. I got a question for you. How did you go down through? You were in Nairobi. What made you decide, so you moved up to MIT Sloan School and Wharton. Did one day you said to yourself, oh, I want to get an MBA and I'm going to go to MIT? Was it like one of those kind of visionary moments, or how did that happen?
Yeah, thank you, Gary, and thanks for coming into your show. I think that was it's an interesting conversation in terms of how I first thought I should go to MIT. Well, because I've been running a technology company, a software company, for providing financial services, softwares for banks and financial institutions across 26 countries in Africa. So we reached a point where the company we were basically at almost plateauing, at a plateau phase. So my partner, who is Paul Mbugwa, decided that he should go to Harvard School and get himself.
Wait a minute. He decided he was going to Harvard, and you said, "I want to be close to you, but not that close," right?
Absolutely.
I'll be on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, exactly, the other side of Cambridge. So he did a 1-year course, and I felt when he came back, the impact that I saw in the company, and I said yes, because I was more of a technical guy, and I needed now to move more into management and understand most of the other concepts. So that's the reason why I decided to jump and go to MIT and do my MBA there.
Now, how smart were they at MIT? Was it hard to come in? Did it take
a
while to adjust, or did you just say, I'm a lot smarter than all these folks? Just blow them away?
Well, I think in MIT I can comfortably say I was average, because the guys are super smart. The class was full of amazing people. These are guys who are down to earth, but they had a lot of knowledge in almost everything. So I remember there was one time when guys were introducing themselves, and the professor asked, "So how many of you have 3 degrees?" And you could see a couple of hands up. Like 4 degrees, you could see a couple of hands up. So it was strange. And how many of you know multiple languages, like 5 languages? You see a couple of hands up. So these guys were super smart, and they are multi-dimensional. They look at different things, multidisciplinary. So that was an exciting part of the journey at MIT. Yeah.
But did they say to him, how many of you had $1 billion exit? Did they ask any of those questions? Because that's
I know like
smart people that can speak a lot of languages, but they don't know how to make money.
Yes, I think the money side, though, of course, in my class, an executive MBA class, there were a couple of billionaires. There are a couple of people who are running $1 billion funds. And and they were all still in the learning curve. So quite interesting journey. Yeah.
Now, when you were there, did you develop some good contacts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I got my startup, Tenakata, started out of MIT. And just within MIT networks, I've got a lot of contacts of guys who are doing amazing things. A lot of startups have come out of, in fact, out of our class of 2020. There's also tons of startups that are also there. So I think the course was amazing, and I think we did the right thing going for the course.
No, that's super. So, and how did you like living in Cambridge?
Well, completely different from Nairobi, what I
Now,
was
tell
used
us
to.
about the differences. Well, now tell us, when you come in with, like, what did you say? Like, this weather sucks, it's too cold, or was it like, what were the good things and the bad things about culturally coming over,
Yeah,
and the environment?
yeah. So I'm used to Nairobi weather, which is pretty much warm throughout the year. The first time I went to the US, I went during summertime, so I thought everything was like that. So when I
Oh,
went to Cambridge, yes, I went to Cambridge around September. That
mhm.
was in autumn, and immediately after that, I it was strange because at nights it was getting cold, and I think around right about December was hectic. It was quite significant for me, and I had to do the layering. I had to buy a lot of stuff and get ready. So I think I didn't think it would get that cold, like minus something. So I'm used to like the coldest in Nairobi. When you see guys putting on jackets, heavy jackets, is when it gets to 15 degrees Celsius. That is probably like
That's
60.
cold. Yeah.
Yeah, and
And they're
everyone is
freezing. Oh
cold.
my God.
Exactly.
Did
So
you feel like a penguin or what when that was happening?
yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's
Yes.
amazing. So when you were up there, I remember one time I took a friend of mine to Cambridge, actually illegal seafood. And I went in and they had never had lobster. And they said they're bugs and they're not going to eat them. I was like,
Wow.
these things are really good. So what about so the weather, the really smart people? What's the rivalry with Harvard? How's that like? Is there a big rivalry there or not?
Well, it's on and off. I think there are a couple of times where the rivalry appears. So probably you would be right in the middle of a class, and somebody will say, "Our friends down the other side," like
Oh, the
referring
other
to.
side, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so a couple of times we'd hear that, but I think because I did a couple of courses at Harvard also, so the course allows you to register, to cross register across the other side. So there is always that relationship
Wait a
where you
minute,
can
the other side.
yes, sorry, yes, the other side.
So you would say the other side about Harvard, yeah?
Yeah. So at least I went and I attended a couple of courses in Harvard, and I can tell you they are also fantastic. They are so much case based, so you have to read tons of papers and then do a lot of analysis. And guys are super competitive in class. Everyone wants to, like, no, you're wrong. You cannot, not it cannot be like this. These guys, it cannot. So that's a significant difference from, because in MIT, someone would listen to what you're saying and say, okay, I think maybe if you do it this way, you could get some different traction. But I think in Harvard, someone will say, this is bullshit what you're saying. You can't do that. This should be like this. So there's all sorts of
Do you think they really know, though? Do they really know, or they're just BS and telling you something just to show how tough they are? Because I see it a lot of times. We have several folks from Ivy Leagues that run companies we're involved with, and some of them are like, they think they know it and they don't really know it. They have to come back. They haven't been entrepreneurs. The first MBA program was at Harvard to teach managers how to manage, not to how to be entrepreneurs, right? It's almost like diametrically opposed, right? Because risk is not a good thing if you're a manager, right? You got to calculate your risk. But if you're an entrepreneur, that's how your life is. It's like every day it's up and down. It's like Forrest Gump in a box of chocolates.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right and spot on that. I think a lot of these management courses are tweaked towards, as you're saying, risk management becomes a core course. You constantly have to think, will this work? Will it not work? How will it? So there's the element of risking and trying out things is not really taught. But I think I went through a couple of entrepreneurial courses, even within MIT program. And some of them were really good. They were very good. Like there are a couple of venture courses that you would go in and you're told, like, look, what problem are you trying to solve? Can you try it? Have you tried it out? Have you talked to the customers? So rather than just sitting in your desk and thinking this is the problem that I'm solving, you actually go down and actually see that this is actually the challenge that the clients are facing. These are the problems that people are going through. So that's something that that a lot of schools need to really embed in as part of the program, and also bring in practitioners. So like having somebody who's actually gone through the journey, even if they don't have any of these degrees and all that, they have wealth of experience in actually what they know what they're doing. They know where to touch, where not to touch. So those are the kind of things that I think would bring more value into the courses. Yeah.
Well, but do you think they'll ever do it though? Because it's really difficult to bring somebody that doesn't have a degree, unless they're a Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg, back to one of those places. It's really difficult because it doesn't add up to what they aspire to. It's interesting.
No, I think they do.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do. Like, for example, I know of because we have a good center of entrepreneurship, and they bring in all sorts of guys. So, and I used to attend venture cafes and stuff like that. You meet people who have absolutely no degrees, but they are running these ventures. They have these ideas. You can converse. You can have some engaging discussions. They can tell you the problems. You can help each other. They can support you and say, look, if you go this way, you are likely to burn your fingers because I did this in this and this and this and this. So I think the room is there, not only just for the papers. I think the more practical and more experience you've done the stuff, the better for someone as an entrepreneur.
No, that's really cool. So what's the most exciting thing you did while you were there?
So I did a couple of things. I think I learned how to shoot a gun.
Whoa. Wait a minute. I don't know. There's a lot of animals in Kenya. Don't you don't you learn how to shoot guns or what?
Yeah. So, well, I think, there are quite a number of interesting stuff, I think, that I did.
So you learned to shoot a gun. And why did you learn to shoot a gun?
One of these friends of mine, he's a vet, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do some shooting in I think in New Hampshire, I think." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested. Let's go." So we went, and the guy has like I think 10 guns or something, and just like, "Which one do you want?" So I'm like, I don't even know how to shoot, so it was an interesting.
And did you shoot?
It was the first time I held a gun, of course, and I went through and I kind of liked it, so I went a couple of times. Yeah, so that was one of the interesting stuff there. But I think one of the things that I really got into there were two programs that we had for the entrepreneurial journey, and this one was called the MIT Sandbox. So what they do is they give you bare minimum, they give you $1,000 and say, look, what can you do with this $1,000? So like we give you a budget to go and do, let's say, your primary research on this problem that you want to solve. It doesn't matter if you're going to work on it or not, but they give you this very tiny token to see. So previously I used to think like you need like tons of money to start a business. You need like all these kind of investments, all these kind of monies to do that. But you realize just to understand the problem that you're solving, you just need to do the primary research. You don't need to spend a lot of money on it. Design the research well, go down. So that program was fantastic. And then I went through a program called Legatum program for entrepreneurship. So there, what you do is they select a bunch of guys, and across the semester, you go through a number of things. You study stuff, and it is basically impact. So the course is designed to trick your brain to think through what are the impact projects I can do. How do you reason? How do you think as an impact entrepreneur? What are the significant differences in developing world compared to what you see maybe in the US, in the UK? What are the areas that you need to learn and stuff like that? So those were very, very fantastic ones. So I would say that. Of course, the normal DMD, the hard stuff on statistical stuff and all the crazy stuff. Those ones are also interesting. But I think these two were super, super amazing for me.
Wow, that's amazing. So you went down through, and let's talk about Tennocata and how did you come up with that idea, and where are you with it today? I know it's a MIT startup focused on empowering micro and small business across Africa. So tell us a little bit of what's there are 54 countries in Africa, so most people don't realize how big. It's huge, like 1.4 billion people. So It's not like, and every country is a lot different, isn't it? And the cultures and it's not like there's one culture throughout. They're all different. One could be, oriented towards French language or English language, or religion could be different. How do you deal with that? I mean, how do you're looking at creating these small and medium businesses, more micro and small businesses. How do you support them in such a diverse with diverse backgrounds?
Yeah, thank you. I think first, in terms of the beginning of it, is it all started from. So my mom is a tailor, and so she runs a very tiny, small business in Africa, and one of the greatest challenges that we have or that I've seen her go through is that every so often she needs to top up. She needs capital to run the business. So like she still needs $1,000 to top up. She still need 2,000 to top up to do that. So, and she's done that for over 30 years. So it was intriguing because just to see why is this business not able to grow or able to jump into to the next level and things like that. So that became a big problem. And when I looked at just talking to her, understanding the problem, then it hit me that, look, there could be a big potential in this line of business in the SMEs. And so when I went to Legaram Institute and went through the program just to try and do the entrepreneurial journey, is when I went and did the primary research and found out that Africa alone has over 100 million MSMEs, and this is a huge number. And these businesses are every year, like almost a quarter plus of them close down. And so that cycle keeps on. You get more businesses, but almost a quarter of them close down. So in 2-3 years, you have almost more than half of them have been replaced and start again. So there's a lot of money lost. There's a lot of value lost. So what is it that they are lacking? So you realize they don't have the entrepreneurial. They don't understand. They know how to run their business. So if this guy is a barber, like someone who does that work, or a salon person, they understand the work very well, but they don't know if they're making money or not. So sometimes they mix the businesses themselves and they are the business. So there's no separation between themselves and the business. So you realize that becomes a problem in how they do that. And they lose a lot of money. They spend, they don't know how to borrow. They don't know how to do all these things. So I realized that's an opportunity that is there. Across different African cultures, the access to finance problem is the same. So they all need that. But everyone has a different way of doing it. So you find in Kenya, in East Africa, a lot of people are used to doing mobile, digital borrowing, mobile lending. As you go further, maybe to the west side, West African side, it's still new. It's still a very new culture. They speak different languages. I think Africa would, like a country like Tanzania, has 250 languages or something like that.
Seriously? 250? So how do you go in there? What's the common thread if you go to those places? How do you communicate? I mean, that's got to be a barrier to business right in and of itself, right? Well, do they have any common language like French or English, or are there any common languages they speak?
Yeah, so Swahili is spoken across a big number of these countries across sub-Saharan Africa. So you find you'd get maybe over 200 million speakers of the language, probably more on that. But though they have different variants, but you can at least communicate. You can say stuff that you are saying, and somebody can understand you on the different side. So that's what one of the things that is there. So cultural barriers, language barriers are huge problems. A lot of them are on different development stages. So you find probably you'll find Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt. These are quite slightly more advanced countries. But as you go to the other ones, you find they would have the poverty levels are very high. So you have competing priorities. You have somebody who's thinking of a meal today, and you want to tell him how to grow their business. So that becomes also challenging. But you find now by you talking to them, engaging them, is when you tell them, look, there is hope in terms of once you are able to grow your business, you can feed your family better, you can grow, you can you will see significant improvement in your life. So those are the kind of things that we really have to push them, talk to them about, make them understand this is how things should be done. These are the areas for you can do mistakes here, but these are the areas that you cannot do mistakes. So all that becomes quite a lessons to be learned, and also ways to integrate with them. So the beauty of it is, I think the wide number of people are quite open in terms of they're friendly. So you would walk into, like in Tanzania, you would walk in and meet someone, greet them, and tell them, look, I've not eaten, and they'll give you food. So these cultures are quite different.
Oh,
So there
really?
is a lot
So
of
if you
that.
walk down the street in Tanzania and you say, I want food, they'll give you food.
You probably, someone will give you something. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So like
that's really good.
You walk into a homestead and you're like, hey, I've not eaten the whole day. Someone will bring you water. Someone will bring you this, even if it's the little that they have. So that
Wow,
culture
that's
is
very kind, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so what are the challenges? So what are the challenges? You know, it can't be easy going to 54 countries. I mean, it's got to be culturally, plus the distances, right? It's not like it's you can drive a car there and be there tomorrow. It's huge distances. What are some of the challenges, and what are some of the big opportunities?
Yeah, so challenges, of course, as I said, is which you've also highlighted, is access to some of these places. So you find going to different places is quite difficult. You have to invest a lot in your travels. You have to plan very well in where you're going. You have to adjust yourself on where you're going to sleep. You have to do all that. However, one of the other challenge, of course, is on the mobile penetration. So you realize Africa, there is a lot of people have the actual are connected, but these are maybe the feature phones, and these phones maybe they are not smartphones. So you find the smartphone penetration is still low. However, there is a lot of technologies that we've also built in Africa that allows people to actually use the phone that they have, like the USSD, where you dial a number and you get a menu. You can do financial services. You can do that. So any phone can do that in any place. So at least those technologies. Yes. The only challenge is it's not user friendly as much. Of course, once you've seen a smartphone, then you know it's not user friendly. If you don't have a smartphone, you don't know that. You have the benefit of not knowing how it is. So as the numbers continue to grow, as many people get to have smartphones, many people there are so many opportunities in all sorts of financial tech. If I just take financial technologies as a sector, fintech, you find remittances, you find lending, you find payment services, you find all these are still so much to be done in that. So the opportunities are tremendous. You've seen quite a number of, we've seen a couple of unicorns in Africa coming up. So that means the potential is there for guys to go in. We've seen numerous investments on guys who can see that these businesses are really need to be fueled up to grow. So those are things that I think will definitely be shows us that the opportunity is quite huge in that. If you look at the health sector, huge education sector, a lot to be done. So in each of these areas, without even going into AI and all these other fantastic, interesting ideas that are outside there, just the basics, solving the basic problems using even the current technologies is still a huge opportunity. So if you bring in the likes of AI, then it's even much wider and all that. So in agriculture, in health, in all these, all of them have components of technology that can support and improve the lives of the local Africans, and of course beyond.
No, that's great. Well, it sounds like a blue ocean. So so you look at where you are, where Tenakata is today. So what are the goals? Well, how do you see it? What's going to happen in the next year, the next 2 years? Where are you going to be with the company? What's the end goal?
Yeah, so we see ourselves in the next couple of years. Let's say if you just take the near future, of course, in the next 2 years or so, we should be in at least 5 to 10 African countries. permanently there and already serving clients and doing lots of businesses there from Tenakata side. We've seen, of course, these regulations and all that. So we want to also go into the regulation side, be regulated, and also probably approach it from a neobank side. So we see that as an opportunity from within ourselves. So we hope and we pray that in the next couple of years, probably less than 5 years, we should definitely be seen as a unicorn. So those are some of the things that we see as that we want to see the impact in derived in each and every places that we go. We want to see businesses improve how they are doing. We want to see them being able to borrow. We want to see them having better credit scores. We want to see them know how to run their businesses. And by doing that, of course, we will be able to generate good revenues for ourselves, for our investors, for anyone who our associates, anyone who's associated with us. We will be able to do that. So those are some of the areas. Those are the areas that we see ourselves in the next couple of years being able to do that. And hopefully, in less than 10 years' time, we will go into Far East Asia, South America, and we become, as we looking at going global, then that becomes one of the areas that we should be doing.
No, it's great. I mean, the faster you do it, the better, right? Because there's this great opportunity right now today. Listen, we're coming up to the top of the show. So closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Closing shots, I think the opportunity is there. That is one. People need to understand, you need to know your business so that you can grow it. You can't just grow your business without knowing. So that's a fundamental aspect. To investors and to people who want to invest in Africa, I think the time is now. Coincidentally, Tenakata means now in Maasai. So the time is now. We need to go in, we need to invest, put in money, returns are there. Slightly patient capital, slightly, not like we don't expect 10x over this period of time, but slowly, these numbers will be realized. So I see great opportunities and definitely invite a lot of people to come into Africa. We can be contacted through our website. We will be able to hold hands, talk with the like-minded, let people know what they want to do, how they want to come into Africa. We can support all that, and we should be able to grow. So these are the areas, or these are the stuff that we are doing, and we are excited to say we are still doing our fundraising round. So any investors, anyone who wants to come in, we really welcome them to come, and let's make the difference.
That's right. Let's make the difference. So thanks so much for joining my show. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you again. And thanks to all my audience out there for making the Founders Report with Gary Fowler to happen. Thank to Hasmic and the entire LaToken team. Stay tuned, stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. Let's try to make this world a better place. Let's try to work together in harmony so we can solve the complex problems that we all have. And let's spread love and compassion and empathy around the world to make it a better place. My name's Gary Fowler, as I said, and I'm the host of the Founders Report. Stay tuned for another exciting edition coming up in 2 weeks. See you later. Take care. And thanks again. I really appreciate it.